John, good evening. For Gazans, this war has been defined by two things, the dead and the displaced. And in this place, in this conflict, those two things combine at Shifa Hospital.
In this Gaza hospital, this is actually a quiet moment. Hassan Khalef checks on a woman with shrapnel in her shoulder.
Oh, yeah, Shabab.
He mobilizes his staff, even though in this war, her wounds are considered minor.
From the first day, we have the pressure of mass killing of the civilians.
For the last 6 years, through 3 wars, Dr. Khalef has administered Shifa Hospital. He shows me Gaza's biggest intensive care unit, only a few dozen beds.
How can we serve that? It is impossible, not only for us, for any hospital, to deal with 60 or 100 casualty at the same minute. It's very difficult, but we have to manage.
But this afternoon, he didn't manage. In a busy market, this war's horror exploded. A local TV crew filmed as shells landed in the middle of a shopping area. They were out with their families during what they thought was a ceasefire. Israel never promised to hold fire here. Multiple rounds fired right into the crowd. And almost 200 wounded descended onto Shifa Hospital at once. At one point, the hospital put out an urgent request. Blood was needed because they'd run out. Dr. Hassan asks if a ceasefire doesn't provide safety, what does?
Every day, we cannot be safe at any time, at any place.
This was supposed to be a safe haven, the blue and white of a UN school. It's been a shelter for thousands of families who fled the fighting. But this morning, an Israeli shell flew through the wall. A boy holds up a thin pad a family was sleeping on, now stained with blood.
The shells appear to have come into this room through the wall right there and exploded right in the middle of the room. And you can see still the remnants of the family who was here, the food that they were eating, some of the clothes they were wearing. And you have to remember that this was a school that had become a shelter, and the blackboard still has a lesson plan.
The Israeli military says fighters launched mortars from right nearby. For the 3,000 people who live here now, they want to leave, but they have no home to go to.
They told us to evacuate our homes. We evacuated. When we returned, we found our homes destroyed. It's like an earthquake hit our area.
Even the UN workers don't know what to say.
And when people today, after this attack, ask you, where should I go, what do you tell them?
They ran from their homes because they thought the UN school was the safest place. Now where will they go?
When the markets, when the shelters aren't safe, some families feel the only secure place is Shifa Hospital. Mohammed, Hamis, and their 2 families have no water, no way to cook, no bathrooms. But for them and for their more than 40 relatives, this is safer than anywhere else.
So you came here 24 days ago. Why here to the hospital and not, for example, a UN school?
Better to live on the street than the classroom collapse on our heads.
Today, the classroom collapsed. The market was bombed. And so a hospital overwhelmed by the injured is now overwhelmed by the homeless.
The UN says 200,000 Gazans are homeless. They've left their homes. But that number is actually only the number of people who have registered at those UN schools. The people who have come to private homes or simply are outside the hospital, for example, don't count in that number. So the real number is much higher. Some 40% of all of Gaza, according to the UN, is a no-go area, simply too dangerous for people to still stay in. But if you ask anybody today, John, they will say that it's not 40%. They feel that all of Gaza has become a no-go area.
That's Nick Schifrin in Gaza.
We now